Now there will be a session of very short introduction of everyone, because this is a workshop where we want to foster the exchange of ideas and maybe even prospective collaborations. And therefore we should know each other at first. So these are these one slide presentations that will go on in a minute. So everyone will have 2 minutes to present themselves. And afterwards there will be 2 talks by the invited speakers. And afterwards there will be a session on GatherTown with with posters. And let me mention that there will be also poster prizes, and that everyone who is the participants of this workshop will get the right to vote for 3 best posters, and the winners will get nice prizes. So let me thank once again the sponsors, that is the CCAM and the Erwin Schrödinger Institute. And with that, we should go over to Francesco and to these 2-minute presentations of the participants.
Thank you, Ian. So thank you everybody for taking part to this workshop. So I'm very simply going to go through our slides and give everybody who's actually put up a slide to the opportunity to present themselves in a very short format. So you're all familiar with this. This were just the instructions. And so I think we can start with Elizabeth, if she can unmute herself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Elisabeth Fischer-Friedrich, and I'm a group leader in Dresden at the university and at the Cluster of Excellence Physics of Life. So I'm working interdisciplinarily between physics and biology, essentially, and I'm particularly interested in the mechanics of biological material, so aspects of viscoelasticity there. And we use as an experimental tool the atomic force microscope a lot to characterize mechanical properties of cells. And we also do a certain amount of modeling in terms of continuum mechanical approaches. And we are also doing a little nonlinear dynamics. And yeah, so from the biological side, this is mainly cytoskeleton, which plays a role here as a biological structure and all molecules associated to it. And yeah, I have a group of 4 PhD students and a technician. I started in 2017 as a group leader. And yeah, what else could I say? Yeah, I started out as a theorist, actually, doing my PhD and also mainly my first postdoc on theoretical biophysics. And now I moved since almost 10 years now to be an experimental biophysicist. So that maybe gives me a bit of a special background here.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was very interesting. So let's go to the next speaker, is Benno Liebchen.
Hi everyone. So my name is Benno Liebchen, as you can obviously see on the slide. I'm currently in Darmstadt. I'm a tenure track professor there since 2019. Before that, I've moved a lot, as we probably most of us do. So I've done my PhD in Hamburg on nonlinear dynamics originally, particularly on Hamiltonian ratchets. Analyzed with tools from nonlinear dynamics, and then also at the CCAM workshop where I went for interest, so for curiosity just. So I got very much excited about soft matter and active matter in particular. So I decided to change my research field and was then going to Edinburgh to work with Mike Cates and Davide Maranduzzo, and I was getting into active matter there. So which is my research field since then, my core field basically. But nevertheless, I'm still interested in nonlinear dynamics or dynamical systems and generally non-equilibrium physics, so in active matter or other systems as well. Pattern formation is also something where I'm very much interested in. Yeah. so after the time in Edinburgh, I was moving to Düsseldorf to work in the group of Hartmut Löwen. So I was there for about 2 years, and then since 2019, I'm in Darmstadt now. So after arriving there, so I've started building up a research group. So now it took a while to build up the group. So now I have 4 PhD students and some bachelor and master students. And so, yeah, slowly I find some time to do stuff again. So originally I was pretty much occupied with teaching, setting up the group, and lots of administrative stuff. So yeah, so the topics I'm working on are active matter, as I just mentioned. So I'm quite interested in formulating field theories, in particular for colloids. I'm also very much interested in chemotaxis, both in biological systems, but also on chemotaxis in synthetic systems. So I call it synthetic chemotaxis. On navigation problems, about which I will talk in this workshop. I'm still interested in transport problems, in particular in redshirts, so which was my PhD study topic, as mentioned, in driven systems and still in chaos. Yeah, I think my 2 minutes are probably over.
Well, probably. I'm not keeping track of time, but yes. Thank you.
No, I just felt I should probably stop talking.
Thank
you. Don't worry, I'll interrupt. If it's too much over, I will interrupt the speaker.
Yeah, it was fine. Thank you very much, Benno. We move to Anton, if he's online.
Hello, everybody. I am Anton Soussloff. I am an assistant professor at the University of Bath in the UK. My interests also span things like active matter, but perhaps one sort of difference with a lot of sort of biological active matter researchers is that I mostly focus on active matter that doesn't currently exist, right? Doesn't exist in nature. So one of my focus areas of research is to design new types of materials by including active components in them. So designing mechanical properties that are not found otherwise, right? And one research topic that I've been interested in throughout my career is what's broadly known as topological active matter. We've recently submitted a review on the topic that you can find on the archive. And that's actually also what's illustrated in the figure at the bottom right here. Hopefully my PhD student will present a poster on this topic, but the idea is that you can design some very unusual wave physics if you look at active fluids and try to, for example, play around with things like boundary conditions in them. Other things I'm interested in, what my talk is about, is sort of active solids. So instead of thinking about active particles in a fluid state, you think of them in an elastic matrix, and try to see how including active components will affect the mechanical properties, can lead to things like changing shapes, snap through transitions, and that's what I'll talk about in a specific topic of what we are calling active elastic capillarity. I think that covers everything I have on the slides, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting all of you and talking to you more about this research.
Thank you very much, Anton, for this presentation. So we go now to Andreas Söttl.
Hello. Yes, I'm Andreas. So when the organizers asked me last time to give a talk, I was at the Technical University of Vienna. Now, in the moment, I moved to the University of Vienna. And yes, so the field I'm working on is mainly hydrodynamics in active matter systems, where I started when I did my PhD in Berlin with Holger Stark. So I do computational and theoretical work. Yeah, after my PhD, I moved to Oxford to work with Julia Yeomans, and I extended more from artificial active matter to bio-inspired active matter. like hydrodynamics around swimming bacteria, for example. But also I was involved in other non-equilibrium systems like driven rods in microgels. And then I moved to Paris to an experimental group, actually, to the group of Anke Lindner, where we studied the dynamics of bacteria in microchannel flow in detail. Before I moved back to Austria, actually. And here, one focus of my work is on microswimmer decision-making coupled to viscous environment of the microswimmers. This is actually the topic I will talk about today. Yeah, I think that's all from my side in the moment.
Well, thank you, Andres, for this introduction. And so we move to Camille from Cambridge. She's arrived.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm very pleased to meet you all, even though it's online. And thanks again for the organizers for making this possible. So I'm currently a research fellow at the University of Cambridge, but most of my postdoc life has actually taken place at home. So I finished my PhD a little bit more than 1 year ago. And I was part of this large Simons collaboration on cracking the glass problem. So I've worked on many aspects of glass properties, but also glass formation, and I've still worked a bit on that. So I'm really interested in these types of problems, which are stat-mex of disordered materials, and more specifically, both on the analytics, so the mean field theory for that. But what I'm most keen doing is numerical simulations of these systems. And so more recently, I've tried to broaden a bit these ideas, and I got interested in the role of metastable states that are present in glass problems in the case of other problems, other complex systems. And since I'm in the group led by Professor Mike Cates, I'm also interested in what happens to these dense materials when particles or some of the particles can be made active. So currently I'm working on a few of these topics. Firstly, one about glasses, which is activated dynamics in deeply supercooled liquid. And this is what I will be presenting in my talk, and which is also related to a work that Valentina Rose taking place in the workshop is working on, and I hope many others. And I've also started several projects on different issues. One is field theories for absorbing phase transitions, and also another one which is on the dynamics in complex landscapes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Camille. So we now move to Moshe from Göttingen.
Hi, I'm Moshe. I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Göttingen under Professor Peter Zolisch. I have research interests which range from statistical physics and dynamics in non-equilibrium systems, which I've been looking at mostly these days, and understanding machine learning using statistical physics. And I used to do more, a lot of microscopy and FCS and biophysics experimentation before, and then I moved to theory, so I still have sort of interest in understanding sort of a larger organization principle in the systems. Currently, I'm working on two major projects. One is we use path integral approaches in chemical reaction network systems, such as gene regulation or simple reaction diffusion systems, in the regime of very, very small copy numbers, and to make inferences on networks like that. And I'm also interested in machine learning methods in network dynamics. Yeah, I won't take 2 minutes. Thank you.
As you like. Quite a few back and forth between experiment and theory. That's nice. Let's move now to Dusan Lachko.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so good afternoon. Well, I'm coming from Polymer Institute of Slovak Academy of Sciences. Well, and I work on my scientific interests. I involve computer simulation of polymers, or everything computer simulations, let's say. Well, and I work as it goes usually in a small computational group. We are 5 people currently, but we have nice coverage of different topics. And well, and I got to this to this topic or these problems of molecular simulations during my PhD, a kind of stubbornness, because I work in a lab of molecular spectroscopy, and I started with these molecular dynamic simulations. Then I went to my first stay to European Laboratory of Nonlinear Spectroscopy in Florence, where I was doing molecular dynamics of low molecular substances, and with connection with free volume and pulse spectroscopy. And later on, I moved to Spain, where I brought it to polymers. Well, and when I returned, there was a formed department for molecular simulations of polymers, where I recently became head of. And there we were involved in mainly coarse-grain simulations of polymers in different problems like confinements, interactions with surfaces, or topological molecules like DNA, and modeling of active matter and motors, and so on. So this is basically my bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. It's Eric de Julie now, if he's online.
Yep.
From Canada. Okay, thank you.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm Eric de Julie. I'm a tenured track assistant professor at Ryerson University in Toronto. My background is coming from amorphous materials. So I did my PhD studying granular materials, and then a postdoc with Mathieu Viard on various aspects of amorphous solids like glass, and also dense flows like granular materials and so on. But I'm interested quite broadly in other aspects of StatMech applied to complex systems. So I wrote here self-organization in non-equilibrium systems, which is, of course, a very broad topic. So at the moment, I have research projects in 3 different areas. So first is trying to do something about StatMech applied to large chemical reaction networks. So the basic idea is to try to understand under what conditions we can start with some inorganic reactants and start to have like primitive aspects of living things. So emergence of metabolism, for example, and so on. So of course, with application to the origin of life. And then I also have projects related to structure and language models. So the emergence of kind of syntactic or semantic structure and language models, both applied to thinking about how humans learn language, but also one could also apply these to thinking about how computers can learn language. And then I have still some interest in more traditional topics. So in particular, field theory applied to amorphous solids that I'll talk about on Wednesday or Thursday, I forget. That's it. Thanks.
It's Wednesday. Thank you, Eric, very much. Valentina Ross.
Okay, so hello everybody, and nice to meet you and to see you, even though at a distance. So my name is Valentina, and I'm currently at LPTMS, which is a lab that is in Orsay, so in the south of Paris. And before getting to France, I spent some time, actually most of the time in Italy, and then a little bit of time in Germany, in Munich. So the things that I'm interested in are essentially related to the statistical physics of disorder systems, and both quantum disorder systems and classical disorder systems. So from the quantum point of view, I've been working mostly on phenomena of localization and the interacting version of localization, which is known as many-body localization. And this is something that I'm still working on a little bit. So in particular, so these are phenomena that have to do with systems which are isolated. So what I'm working on right now is trying to understand what is the effect of thermal fluctuations on this type of systems and how this phenomenology of localization is spoiled by thermal fluctuations. And on the other hand, from the classical point of view, as Camille already mentioned, I'm working on, let's say, understanding structures of complicated functions in high dimension and landscapes, which is what I will discuss a little bit in a talk on Thursday. Okay, I think that's it. Of course, the motivation for landscapes comes from glasses, but as I will try to convey a little bit on Thursday, you can also think about applications to complex systems in general, even to problems of ecology, economics, and machine learning to some extent, if you want. So, so I try to motivate this a little bit in the talk, if you're interested in this. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, Valentina. We move to Elena Massanasi.
Okay, hello everybody, happy to be here. So the plan last year in the original version of the workshop was to present my work from my PhD, which I just finished over a year ago on magnetic colloids that I did in the University of Barcelona, but I recently moved to Sapienza University of Rome. So I'm gonna present just later this afternoon the results we're doing on now. We're currently working on light-driven bacteria. I'm in a postdoc in the lab of Professor Roberto Di Leonardo. And yeah, so here you can see both images. One of them, the orangey one, is from magnetic colloids, and the right one is from light-driven bacteria, and which I'm going to show you later today. And yeah, basically my interests are, I'm an experimentalist, but I'm interested in active matter, of course, magnetic colloids, and yeah, so that's a bit it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elena. We move now to Aparna Srikumari. I don't know if my pronunciation is right.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm Aparna Srikumari. I'm a postdoc in Professor Reinhard Stepowski's lab in Max Planck Institute of Colloids and Interfaces. So I completed my PhD in 2015 in ETH Zurich. And during my PhD, I was focusing on self-assembly of magnetic nanoparticles. And so we studied the complex structure formation and its effect on the dynamics of this magnetic particles systems. And in our study, we showed that these complex structures can influence the equilibrium and non-equilibrium properties. So when I moved to my postdoctoral research, I'm mainly focusing on the self-assembly of amphiphilic molecules such as lipids, which has a hydrophilic head group and the hydrophobic tail group. And so I was focusing on the mechanical properties of these bilayer membranes. The basic building block of this bilayer membranes are the lipids. So as we all know that bilayer membranes are the basic building block of cell membranes. So we were mainly focusing on the asymmetry of these membranes. As you can see in this schematic, I had shown an asymmetric membrane, which actually engulfs an external nanoparticle. So this asymmetry can influence the mechanical properties of the membrane, and in turn, it can actually influence the cellular processes such as endocytosis and exocytosis. So that's my study.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Let's move now to Catalina Buddha.
Hello, everybody. So I'm representing the mathematical modeling part of this community here. And I did my PhD at the University of Michigan in US in applied mathematics. And actually I worked in Vienna at the Institute of Science and Technology for a couple of years. And I'm working on multiple interdisciplinary problems, trying to understand biological processes using applied math. And the question typically comes in two steps. The first step is you're given data from experimental collaborators, and you're trying to infer mathematical models of the behavior. And once you have those models, you typically get a very complex and stochastic behavior, complicated set of equations. And then in the next step, you're trying to understand and replace this complicated system by a very simple system of a couple of equations. Of course, it's non-equilibrium, and we are using methods from statistical physics to understand this. So I'm really curious what I'm going to learn at this meeting in relation to the problems that I'm working on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move now to Sansa.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone. As you can see, my name on Zoom doesn't coincide with my real name, but my computer is being repaired. So I hope you can recognize me in the meetings. But anyway, I'm Elena, and I'm in my third year of PhD at EPFL in Lausanne. And I'm in the group of Ignacio Pagona-Barraga, and I also work with Damian. And I work in the field of active matter, and in particular in the modelization of self-propelled systems. And one of the projects we are currently working on is the study of the alignment interaction symmetry in the collective behavior of active Brownian disks. And we do this by combining both Brownian dynamic simulations and the derivation of an analytical theory. And we are also studying the dynamics of Hamiltonian models describing systems of particles that carry a spin, which is coupled to the velocities of the neighbors. And we think that in this kind of models, one could possibly observe a flocking phase transition. And finally, we just started a project in collaboration with a group at ETH, the group of Professor Lucio Issa. And in this project, we will be studying the collective behavior and the emergent dynamics of mixtures of both active elongated particles and active disks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena. Pasquale Di Gregorio, if he's on.
Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Pasquale Di Gregorio, and I'm a postdoc in EPFL in Lausanne. So my current research work is focused as let's say as a general topic on the study of the behavior of topological defects in out of equilibrium systems, and specifically in active matter systems. So I'm currently involved in two main projects, and the first one concerns the analysis of melting transition in two-dimensional systems, systems of active Brownian particles. So just to sketch a bit the general idea of this project, as you might know, the presence of topological defects is of fundamental importance in the nature of order-disorder phase transitions in two-dimensional systems, in two-dimensional materials, and in the sense that actually the excitation of defects is known to be the main microscopic process driving these kinds of phase transition. So the idea is that starting from numerical studies, so from numerical molecular dynamics simulation, the idea is a deep analysis of the properties of such processes involving topological defects and how activity affects them would be really useful to build a general understanding of the phenomenon of melting for active matter. Okay, so this is the first topic, and this is what I've been doing from my PhD, and this is what and this is the content of my poster, the poster that I'll be presenting here in this workshop. And the second topic is so I recently started during the postdoc dealing with the analysis of topological defects, but in a different context, and specifically in the context of active nematic liquid crystals in presence of turbulent flow by means of lattice Boltzmann simulation. And okay, that's it.
Thank you very much, Pasquale, for your topic of research. Paul Guillamat or Guillamat?
So I did my PhD in Barcelona. Actually, I started working with liquid crystals. Like, I'm an experimentalist, first of all. I see that a lot of you are theorists, so I feel a little bit intimidated, but I've seen some experimentalists already. So, and I did my PhD in Barcelona working on active nematics, like based on microtubules and molecular motors. And then I moved to Switzerland for a first postdoc in the University of Geneva, where I started working with cellular nematics. And now I moved back to Barcelona with Xavier Trepat in IBEC to continue my project that I started in Switzerland. So basically, my obsession is to control active systems. And I do this by different means, but always thinking on active matter, like in the perspective of liquid crystals. So controlling active matter with liquid crystal principles, let's say. And now I'm using these concepts to force the generation of 3D tissues as a model for morphogenesis. So I hope I can show you more on Friday, I think. So thank you very much for the invitation, by the way.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Roberto Gilbino from the University of Vienna.
Hello, everyone. My name is Roberto, and I am an experimental soft matter physicist. I just arrived in Vienna. I previously I've been in Milan for a very long time, Italy. And let's say, for the topics that are more concerned to the present workshop, so mainly non-equilibrium, I am interested in cellular motility, bacterial and also epithelial cells, much more those lately. I've been working on convective instabilities, thermophoresis, non-equilibrium fluctuations in colloids. And these are still activities that are ongoing in my lab. Actually, at the moment, I don't have a lab because it's being built, but it will be ready after summer. More lately, I'm interested in the connection between the microscopic and the macroscopic dynamics in systems that are brought out of equilibrium mechanically, typically what is called rheomicroscopy, for those of you who are into that. And that's it. I'm very glad to be here, and I thank the organizers for setting up this beautiful initiative.
Thank you, Professor Gilbino. We move on to Fahad.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fahad. I'm from India. I have noticed started a PhD, just completed my master's, but back in 2018. So after that, I was working as a visiting student at Institute of Mathematical Science in Chennai, India. So I have been working on, we were modeling this ballistic aggregation process on a lattice. We were making a lattice model. So ballistic aggregation means just particles move with given velocities and they just stick together when they meet. That's a basic model. So we were studying some three models, some point particles, then fractal clusters, and in third model, we rearrange the clusters to make them look like spheres or spherical disks. Okay, that's it. And yeah, during my master's, I have been doing some experiments with granular systems. So that's why I have added some figures in the slide. So I have been, and that's all.
Okay, thank you, Fahad, for your contribution. So we move now to Arthur Hardiagon.
Yes.
Good, maybe.
Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you to be here. And so I am Arthur Hardiagon. So I am from the Institut de Biologie Physico-Chimique in France, in a CNRS lab. And I am currently working with Fabius Talpon and Mark Baden. I am in the second year of my PhD. So my interests are my current research is about molecular dynamics, so theoretical chemistry to model some nanomaterials systems that can be embedded in lipids. So with a collaboration with experimentalists in Montpellier in the City of Membrane, we are able to create and synthesize some compounds, some chemical synthetic aggregates that can filtrate water through lipid membranes. So this is in the scope of desalinization problem, and my main activities is to improve current models in force fields, and also to understand the link between the structure and the permeation through this kind of systems in lipids. So thank you, everyone, and that's all from me.
Thank you, Arturo. We move now to Sophie Ramanaripo.
Hi, everyone. So I'm an assistant professor in LADIX, which is a fluid mechanics lab in École Polytechnique, so next to Paris. And so what I'm working on is fluid structure interaction, so the interaction of an object that can move or deform with a flow. And so kind of one typical example that I'm showing here and which I've been working on is animal locomotion. So think of birds or fish swimming. And so this is what you see on the picture. So it's reduced to just one wing, but it's flapping up and down. It's setting fluid into motion. And so retroactively, this fluid is propelling the wing forward. And so the way it kind of relates to this workshop is that when you put several of those swimmers together, then you have formation that appear. And so you have groups and collective behavior that appear due to interaction through the fluid. So the fact that you see your neighbor due to the signature it leaves in the fluid. So what I'm going to present in the workshop is actually slightly different. So it's so I switched gear a bit during my postdoc, and so I looked at this kind of interaction of a swimmer with his environment, but at a different scale, so at the micro scale. So with micro swimmer that swim within a crystal of colloids, and we looked into how this is reorganizing the whole medium and driving, the reorganization. And so about what I'm doing now, so it's again a bit different. So I went back to fluid structure interaction. Not much to do with this workshop, but still interesting. And so we're looking at how you can control the deployment of a surface, so say a cell or a net, using special kind of surfaces. So with folds, so origami, for example, or with slits. So that would be what kirigami is. And so, yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. See, that was very interesting. So we move now to Masume Ozmayan, if she's there. I can't really see from the chat if she's in or not. Can anybody tell me?
Doesn't seem to be here.
Okay, so then we move to the next person, who is Ilan Rouzer.
Yes, hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Ilan Rouzer, and I recently graduated from EPFL in Switzerland. I've worked a bit for a few months with Mathieu Villard on fracture mechanics and machine learning, and then I went to University of Barcelona, and there Damian Levis introduced me to active matter. This is why I'm here, and we've been working since September on collective phenomena in active systems, and more precisely on topological active matter in 2D systems. And yeah, we worked on like the behavior of vortices, and we shown that in our model they're unbind and they're super diffuse. And if you're interested in this, I'm going to present a poster. So see you guys over there.
Well done for advertising your poster. So let's move on to Deepa Gupta.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deepa Gupta. I'm a postdoc researcher at Simon Fraser University, Canada. I'm working with David Sivak. Before coming to Canada, I did my PhD from India, Bangalore. And then I did 2-year postdoc in University of Padua with Amos Maritan. And so mostly I work on non-equilibrium systems and looking for like fluctuation relations and Lahr division system, Lahr division theory, and looking at large fluctuations of stochastic observables like heat, work, or entropy productions. I also work on stochastic resetting systems. And when I was in Padua, I was working in pattern formation and species coexistence in ecological systems, where I use statistical mechanics tools to understand them. In Canada, I'm working on molecular motors to understand their thermodynamic properties. I'm also working on thermodynamics of active matter system. Recently, I worked on heat transport in active matter harmonic chain. I'm going to present a poster on this. Please do come check that poster. I'm also working on stochastic return problems and their energetics and first passes in stochastic return problems. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deepak. Gogia or Gogia, if she's online. 3, 2, 1. Move on. Juan Pablo Miranda Lopez.
Okay. Hello to everybody. I'm Juan Pablo. I'm currently starting my PhD at the Complutense University in Madrid. I'm working with Demian Levis and Chantal Valeriani on my PhD, and my research interests are mostly active matter and statistical physics and doing computer simulations in these type of systems. And currently I'm working with Emanuele Locatelli also in researching active polymers and the effect of confinement in these systems. So I think it was pretty brief, and it was all the things I had to say. So nice to meet you all.
As you like, Juan Pablo. So we move now to Paolo Margaretti, which is misspelled. I just noticed now, but it's okay. Paolo Margaretti?
He's not here.
He's not here. Okay, so move forward. Gaurav Srivastav.
I think he's not here.
Again, we are moving forward a bit more rapidly than what we. Well, it means we have some time for tea later. Alessandro Manacorda.
Yes. So hello everybody, and thank you for organizing this workshop. I am Alessandro, and I am a postdoc at ENS in Paris, working in the group of Francesco Zamponi and in the Simons collaboration on cracking the glass problems. But my research path started in Rome at the Sapienza University, where I made my PhD with Andrea Puglisi, and where we studied the lattice models for the fluctuating hydrodynamics of granular and active matter, as the one that you see here depicted. Then I moved to Paris, and I started studying glassy system, especially focusing on the dynamics of infinite dimensional systems, because going to infinite dimensions allows to find very interesting solutions at equilibrium, but also out of equilibrium, which is what I'm doing also right now, especially focusing on the dynamics of infinite dimensional active matter and on the dynamical mean field theory of jammed systems. Then in September, I will be moving to Luxembourg, where I will be working in the group of Etienne Fodor, again on the models, on lattice models of more general kinds of active matter, which is definitely one of my favorite subjects and topics. And I would like also to share with you that this summer, hopefully, we are organizing a school in Cargèse, which is a very nice place on glass systems and interdisciplinary application. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alessandro, and good luck with the organization. Chris Brackley from Edinburgh.
Hello. Hi everyone. So I'm Chris Brackley from University of Edinburgh. So I'm a biophysicist. So I'm interested in a number of different things, but mostly the physics of genome organization. So I'm interested in lots of different length scales, from DNA and phenomena like supercoiling up to large-scale organization of chromosomes within the cell nucleus. Yeah, I'm interested in biological processes related to the genome, but which involve physical mechanisms, which are often non-equilibrium. So I'm a computational scientist, and so the main tools I use are simulations, so coarse-grained molecular dynamics simulations, also a bit of theory and some data analysis of often genome sequencing based data. And so I'll be speaking later in the week, I think tomorrow. So looking forward to the rest of the conference. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Now it's Davide Micheletto's turn.
Hi everyone. Thanks to the organizers, first of all, to set up this meeting, and yeah, really looking forward to this conference. And so I did my PhD, so let's start from my PhD in Warwick. So in 2015, between 2012 and 2015, with Matthew Turner in Warwick, where we studied the physics of ring polymers. And in particular, what came up from that work is that there are some type of interactions between ring polymers that can be kind of leveraged to drive a topological glass transition, is called, or we call it. So that, if, for instance, if you randomly pin some of the rings in a bulk, then you can drive a glassy state without actually freezing the microscopic degrees of freedom. And so I did only simulations at that point, and then the closest I got to experiments was this kind of thing with a pasta. So probably some of you know this stuff. I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but anyway. And then after that, I moved to Edinburgh with a group of Davide Marenduzzo and also Chris Brackley between 2016, 2019, 2020. To work on topological regulation of the genome and also genome organization. So basically very similar to the things that Chris was saying. And then recently I was quite lucky, so that so now I can actually I'm setting up my own group to work on topologically active polymers. So I'm making a step back towards material science from biophysics. Or yeah, so this is particularly inspired by the physics of DNA and the topological organization of DNA. So there are some proteins in the nucleus that consume energy to change the topology of DNA, and I hope that they can be leveraged to create new topological materials. So. And let me, so this is what we will be doing. So let me close just to say that, yes, so the previous version, the edition of this conference was in Edinburgh. And actually I was thinking these days that it would really be nice to bring it back to home, to Edinburgh next year. So if there is no one else, so I'm putting myself forward in some sense, but if there are other people that are interested, obviously we can chat about. But yes, so I'm putting myself forward to carry on the baton next year, let's say.
Brave Davide. Okay, thank you very much. Gatien Verlet from Paris.
I'm teacher assistant in Saclay University, so this refounded university in the south of Paris. I've been there since 2014, and before I did my PhD in ESPCI, and then I moved to Luxembourg, where I was in the group of Massimo Esposito. I'm doing stochastic thermodynamics mostly, which is thermodynamic theory for stochastic processes, let's say. So it allows you to study, as Deepa said, heat and work exchange at all scales. I have extended my interest more recently to many different areas. Large deviation theory is a tool to study stochastic processes. So I have studied this a lot, and I'm teaching analytical mechanics. So I'm kind of finding connection between large deviation theory and analytical mechanics right now with my PhD student Lydia Shaban and collaborator Alexandre Lazarescu. I'm also teaching geometric algebra. This is more an opening topic for me, but this is an alternative algebra with respect to vector matrix algebra. So this is very interesting. More specifically for my research, I study energy conversion and the physics of coupled fluxes. My former PhD students had a very nice result about this physics of coupled fluxes. About the extension of Onzaga response matrix, or linear response theory, but to nonlinear case, which is very interesting, and I will give I will say a few things about this in my talk on Thursday. What else? Many things. I work more recently on equivalence between stochastic processes, and this is a fundamental topic for statistical physics, because as you know, you have the equivalence of various ensembles in the equilibrium theory, and you can kind of frame the same kind of equivalence of ensemble in the non-equilibrium sector, which is not working as fine as in the equilibrium theory, but the goal is basically to find room for it working in the non-equilibrium case. I end with a comment on the fact that I'm co-organizer of an online meeting on climate and energy. This is a conference that aims at kind of explaining climate and energy problems to non-experts, to physicists and scientists, but non-experts. It will be in French, but if you understand French, you can. So you can write me if you want more information on this conference, because we don't have the website yet online. It will come soon, and the conference is in June. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Cassien. Now it's Galien Grosjean.
Okay, so my name is Galien. I am a postdoc at IST Austria on the outskirts of Vienna. I am currently working on triboelectric charging. So I'm trying to understand why objects exchange electric charge when they come into contact. And to do this, we use statistical models as well as measurements, which I perform, as you can see on the left, using acoustic levitation. So I'm levitating this particle, making it bounce on the substrate, and then measure its charge. Before that, I was working on microswimmers when I was doing my PhD in Liège, in Belgium. And in particular, I was using a system that spontaneously forms through a combination of magnetic forces and capillary forces. You can see it on the right. And this system can swim and performs all sorts of tricks when subjected to magnetic fields. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Galien. Now we have Scott Waitakaitis.
Hi, so good job on pronouncing the name. I'm Scott Waitakaitis, and I'm a new assistant professor at IST Austria for a little over a year now, year and a half. And Galien is working with me here. And I've just been interested in a lot of kind of offbeat problems in soft matter. So one of the ones you heard about just now was tribocharging, which is essentially if you rub a balloon on your head, you get static electricity. But which charges were the ones that jumped over and why is kind of the unresolved question, actually. We don't know if they're ions or electrons, and we don't know why they go from your hair to the other surface or vice versa. So that's one of the major problems we're working on. And in addition to that, I've also worked on some topics and continue to work on topics in kind of fluid dynamics and say colloids. So in the center here, you see a picture from a Nature Physics article we had where we study the Leidenfrost effect with hydrogels, and effectively we make bouncy balls that don't stop bouncing. So these little balls you see in here, if we put them on a hot plate, they'll bounce for upwards of 10 minutes straight because they're harvesting energy from the Leidenfrost effect. We've also done some work on colloidal suspensions, and we're just getting our feet wet recently with active matter in the form of kind of active colloids. So we're doing lots of things, and thanks for organizing this conference.
Thank you very much, Scott. Domenico Truzzolillo from Montpellier.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. So I'm Domenico. I'm a CNRS researcher at the Laboratoire Charles-Coulomb in Montpellier. I have obtained my PhD in Rome at La Sapienza University, and then I moved to Crete in Greece to learn about colloidal dynamics and rheology, a research line that I'm still it's still ongoing here in Montpellier. So as you can see from my overall interests, I'm interested in rheology, colloidal dynamics, interfacial phenomena, and self-assembly. So I'm an experimental physicist interested in colloids, basically. More specifically, the topics touched by my research concern glass transition, jamming transition in colloids, non-equilibrium interfacial tensions, hydrodynamic instabilities and electrostatic self-assembly. And going even more in detail, the 4 research lines that concern me more closely are the vitrification and the yielding transition in soft colloids. This is what I'm going to talk about on Wednesday, if I remember well. And I'm also interested in developing novel strategies to do rheology and measure surface energies of soft solids, very soft solids. I'm interested in measuring interfacial stresses that mimic interfacial tensions in miscible fluids. That is admittedly a weird research line. And more lately, I'm also interested in understanding better the volume phase transition occurring in Pneipan microgels that are thermoresponsive microgels that you can swell and deswell with temperature. And in particular, in understanding the role of residual charges on these in these microgels that seem to be very important in determining the kind of volume phase transition occurring in these colloids. I think I can conclude here. I hope not to have overcome the 2 minutes.
It's perfect, Domenico. Thank you very much. Francesco Cagnetta.
Hi, everybody. So I've been mainly interested in 2 topics, which are active matter on the one hand and machine learning on the other hand. So active matter is basically what I've been doing so far. And machine learning is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm a postdoc in at TPFL in Mathieu Viard's group. So in active matter, for instance, I did my PhD and we worked on sort of field theoretical general models of the cell membrane, trying specifically to understand how the fact that you have all sort of processes going on in the membrane basically influences the scaling of various kind of structural factors you can measure, either static or dynamic. And but I've also worked on other active matter topics such as self-propelled particles, either in extremely dense or extremely dilute limit. And this is what my poster will be on. I've heard someone talking about ensemble theory in dynamical context and maximum entropy principle and this kind of thing. So if you're interested in this problem, please come and have a look at my poster. And I think I'll leave it there. And hi, everybody again.
Okay, thank you very much, Francesco. So Deborah Schwartz.
Yes, hello. Thank you for organizer. So I am a PhD student at Maryland University. I study non-equilibrium system, like a system of Brownian particles with different temperature, and I look at the emergent behavior that is due to this non-equilibrium. Before that, I study crystallization or thin film formation on a disorder substrate like this Voronoi lattice here. Many times thin film is formed on a substrate, and experimentally see that a liquid substrate leads sometimes to better crystallization. So in order to modelize a liquid substrate, I use this Voronoi lattice. And now I am working on the effect of thermal ungeometrical disorder or noise that affect the thin film formation.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So Patrick Pizonka.
Yeah, thank you for organizing this workshop. And yeah, my name is Patrick Pizonka. I'm a postdoc at the University of Cambridge with postdoc with Mike Cates there. And so my interest is mainly on stochastic thermodynamics, and Gatien has already explained it's a kind of underlying theory for non-equilibrium systems. And in particularly, more recently, I'm applying these concepts to active matter. And in stochastic thermodynamics, I've been working on quantification of the cost of precision, which is revolving around the so-called thermodynamic uncertainty relation. And in my talk tomorrow, I will show you what that implies for classical heat engines. And more recently, I'm also working on engines driven by active matter. As you can see in that little sketch, we've tried to optimize the design of engines that are driven by active matter. And yeah, more recently, I'm also working on symmetry breaking in active matter and field theoretic description of active matter. And also for the past year, I've been working on an excursion to epidemiological modeling. But of course, let's all hope that this topic will become much less interesting in the near future. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to many of you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Charlotte Patterson.
Thank you. Very nice to meet all of you. My name is Charlotte Patterson. I'm a research fellow at the University of Queensland. So my background is in non-equilibrium statistical mechanics. I did my PhD at the Australian National University with Dennis Evans and Peter Williams, where I mostly looked at fluctuation theorems, specifically developing new exact results for non-equilibrium systems, and also testing the applicability of existing results in computer simulations. Then I did a postdoc at Aalto University in Finland with Mikko Oliver, and there I worked on computer simulations of frustrated systems. So there I was looking at artificial spin ice, which is a collection of nanomagnets. And then I moved to the University of Innsbruck in Austria, where I worked with Thomas Franosch, where I was looking at trying to understand the effect of confinement on the glass transition. Since I've recently moved to Queensland, I've been looking at ways to derive equilibrium distribution functions with an easy method. So that's what my poster is about. This is very preliminary work. So if anyone has any feedback from my poster, that'd be really great. I'm also planning to move soon to the University of Sydney to start work on my next project, which will be looking at classifying the structure of glass from the vibrations of the particles. So I'm still very interested in looking at disordered media. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Charlotte. It is midnight there. Also, thank you for for commitment. Joan or Juan Cudina.
Hi, everybody. So thank you for organizing this nice meeting that, well, will take place these days. I'm Joan Cudina. I'm supposedly in China. Now I'm not in China, but I'm in China. So I'm in the Institute of Physics in Beijing when I'm in China. And yeah, my interests are in soft matter and especially active out of equilibrium soft matter, and also low Reynolds numbers, fluid dynamics. So these are my two major interests. And in the last years, I've been working with computational models of self-propelled colloids and focusing on introducing aligning interactions between them and the emergent behavior, and especially which interactions they mediate to passive colloids. So now I'm working also with some big check models and finite size active particles. So it's a combination of these two topics that lead to similar and also very different phenomena. So that's my two working in progress things now. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Gianmaria Falasco from Luxembourg.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the organizers for setting up this conference. And so yes, my name is Gianmaria. I'm a postdoc in the University of Luxembourg in the group of Massimiliano Esposito. Previously, I did my PhD in Germany at the University of Leipzig and at the Max Planck Institute for Mathematics and Sciences there in Leipzig. And I've been working in various aspects of non-equilibrium statistical physics with application to like soft matter physics, both in colloidal physics and active matter. More recently, I've started working on chemical reaction networks with application to biochemistry. but and also some other related work in fields a bit more distant, like cosmology and quantum field theory. But so yes, I'm very interested in non-equilibrium physics in general from a theoretical point of view, even though I like a lot to work with experimentalists and with people doing simulations. And especially I've been working on, as Gathian was introducing it, stochastic thermodynamics. Also more recently in trying to understand the fundamental trade-offs that are there due to statistical physics between precision, speed, and robustness of systems, both biological and synthetic ones, and especially with attention to some methods to make some explicit calculation about these things in systems that are not just toy models. And so yeah, that's it. Maybe just a comment for Davide. Davide, yes, I liked a lot your idea of having a third edition in Edinburgh, but only if you can get us a full week of sun as the one we had 2 years ago. That was amazing.
I'll try. I'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you.
So now I think the four of us are just going to very briefly introduce ourselves. And I think Damian is not there, so actually just three of us.
So shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello to everyone. I'm sorry I missed the first 10-15 minutes, but I had some sort of problem. My name is Emanuele. I'm one of the organizers of this workshop. I have done my PhD in the University of Padua. Then I moved to Vienna in the group of Christos Likos, where I have, so I moved from sort of diffusion in complex environment to working on polymers and in particular on coarse graining techniques. Then I worked in these years on a different number of topics. And currently I am at the TU Wien. I will be moving again at the end of the month to the University of Padua. And currently I'm working on active polymers, as in self-propelled polymers, in collaboration with Paolo Margaretti and also Chantal Valeriani, and also a number of other people. And in particular also on computational models of, another topic, sorry, on computational model for phase separating proteins. And also this is not really relevant for the workshop, but also on heterogeneously charged colloids, which we then hope to use again for modeling phase separating proteins. And so, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. Jan Schmeck.
Hi, I'm Jan. I work at the University of Vienna. I did my PhD in New York, actually next door to Eric de Giuli, whom I haven't seen since that time. And he appeared here as Francesco, I think, invited him. So it was a really nice meeting. I'm mostly interested in polymers and soft matter. And in particular, I'm interested in the different types of entanglement that arises in polymers of different topology and architecture, and that arises in equilibrium, but also in non-equilibrium settings. And what you see in this picture is one kind of entanglement that we have discovered in our recent paper that occurs between two or between many ring polymers that are driven by active segments. And if you want to know more, you can either have a look at this publication, or I invite you to have a look at the poster of Yuri Chubak, who is the co-first author of this paper. I'm also interested in the physics of chromatin, and I'm really looking forward to talk to many of you on GatherTown and around here this week. Thanks.
Thank you, Jan. So if things have not changed, so Damian just sent me a message saying that he couldn't present himself, but so I should present him. I don't know what he presented him is. I mean, it seems like many of you know Damian directly, so I don't need to introduce him directly. But he's a he's a very experienced computer simulator theoretician of active matter. He's done a lot of important work in the context of 2-dimensional active matter. He also has got a background in glassy physics, so he will be able to touch a variety of your topics. If you want to chat with him during the Gather Town meeting, I think he's going to be excited by this opportunity. So I'm not going to go through the details of his presentation. I'm just going to quickly finish with myself. So I'm a very senior, almost rancid postdoc from the University of Bristol, if you like, and I've touched a variety of topics during my research, which is mainly focused on glasses and the structure of these other systems. But I also recently moved to a variety of different topics, including active matter. You see on the top left the cartoon, effectively, recent work that we have done on 3-dimensional active matter, showing effectively that in that context, motility-induced phase separation is, in a sense, metastable to gas crystal phase separation, but also interested in completely different problems, very much linked to the experiments. I'm interested in using soft matter tools for bioimaging to characterize, in this case, osteoporosis in model biological systems. This is zebrafish. So what we are saying is that, well, we devise a deep learning method to identify particular regions and quantify them. So I will be very happy to hear all of your stories. If you want to chat about some of these topics in particular, I will be available too in Gather Town. So with this, I would say that that's it. Huh? So, no. So there is an, okay, there have been last minute additions. So if people are still there, Antonio Ortiz-Ambris.
Okay, so yeah, I am Antonio Ortiz-Ambris. I work in the University of Barcelona, and I've been here for already a few years. And I'm interested in collective phenomena in non-equilibrium statistical physics, and also in model systems of frustration. And specifically, we're developed artificial colloidal ice, which is an analog of spin ice, which we use to study vertex models and things like that. Which we do experimentally and through simulations, and also I'm interested in phase transitions in driven colloidal slit pores, which are very confined systems of colloids, and also in rheology using optical tweezers for very small systems of particles. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Antonio. Anton Gulover, or Goborodko, probably that's a better pronunciation if he's around.
I think he's not around.
He's not around. Okay, never mind. Flavia Corsi.
So I'm Anton's postdoc. He couldn't join us today, so maybe I can briefly introduce both of us. So Anton did his PhD and a brief postdoc at MIT. In the group of Leonid Mirny, and then he started his own group at IMBA in Vienna in fall 2019, and where I decided to join him just a bit less than 1 year ago as a postdoc. And me personally, I did my PhD in computational biology, studying protein interactions. And then I became very interested in the 3-dimensional organization of genome. So for my postdoc, I decided to completely change field and join Anton's group. And currently we are modeling the structure and the mechanism of sister chromatin organization, making use of analytical and numerical models. We are basically using coarse-grained polymer models. And also to model loop extrusion processes in the structure and mechanism of organization of chromosomes. I will present in more detail my project tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flavia.